Newstalk Sauga 960 is the new home for Raw Mike Richards. Brought to you by Bell Lifestyle Products. Also streaming live on sauga960.ca. And now, from the Bell Lifestyle Studio, here's Mike.
It is 7:41. Raw Mike Richards. The tournament that is the tournament, NCAA brackets. They get going again by the end of the week. So we're looking at what, Thursday and Friday. Just a lot of anger about it. I'm always angry. There's always schools I hate. By the way, everyone hates St. Peter's. Nobody likes you. Nobody wants you here. Nobody wants to see the Peacocks. That's your name? You're from New Jersey and you got the balls to call yourself Peacocks? That can't be. That's tough to walk into the gym. You know, who are these guys? These are the Trojans. These are the Bears. Who are you? The Peacocks. Okay, that's tough in New Jersey. That's all I'm going to say. So how do we do this tournament after a couple of years? Well, you hope that some people come to the rescue. Nelson Lourenco, who comes to the rescue for the show since day number one that we moved to 960 for Dave and myself. He still continues to do it and has sponsored with his real estate company the entire tournament. $1,000 up for grabs. So we go to our good friend Nelson. Nelly, how you doing, buddy?
I'm great. Mike, how are you doing?
Well, you know what? A lot of people, including Dave Cadeau, they're going to need to know what is breakfast this morning, because this is very contentious on this show for people. They're like, why does he always have to show what he's eating? Because that's what we do. So what is on the menu this morning?
Actually, this morning is lasagna.
How are you eating that stuff? Because your day is long. You do a lot, my friend. It is remarkable. And of course, in sponsoring this tournament, because you watch a lot of college basketball, you play a lot of the gaming college basketball. Max is someone that you've known probably before he was even on my show, I think. Was he not?
Yep, that's right.
So basketball,
he's great. He's great. He's really good.
Yeah, he's very good. And this tournament, again, exciting. But so it's in a weekend when you're doing real estate. So mention the actual name of your company.
So I work for Sutton Group Elite. My website is nllsold.com. And I'm running around. I just listed a house this Sunday in Welland, Niagara Falls. And on Wednesday, this just passed, I sold a house in Whitby. So I'm all over, Mike.
Yeah, you were in Newcastle. I think you've gone was it Peterborough? Did I see Peterborough as well?
Yes. Peterborough, 2 weeks ago, I sold in Clarington, which is not too bad far from you.
Technically, we are Clarington. I am. Technically, I'm still Clarington.
Yeah, and I live in Mississauga.
Yeah. So if you are looking for someone who's going to go to bat, I would suggest you take the guy who's got the mileage. And that is definitely our good friend Nelson here. We're obviously, as I said, our relationship in terms of myself and Dave, it goes back to what, TSN 1050? How far? I mean,
I remember listening to you, geez, even before 1050. I remember catching you on the radio. I forgot the station, but yeah, when you went
a lot of them, the fan with John Derringer,
the fan, that's right, the fan.
Yeah, it goes all the way back, and it's really what makes. I think for myself, who has done radio for so long, it makes it special when you have people who have supported you the way that we have. It is remarkable. So if you're going to trust someone, trust Nelson. If honestly, if you're going to do something in real estate, because it's a hard market. I mean, I just talked to Brendan on the air saying, there was a time where Nelson, you go to college, you get a job, and when you got a job, within a short period of time, you'd be looking to buy your first house. And now we're looking at those people in their 20s, our kids necessarily. What are they supposed to do, Nelson? Because is that gone now? Are we really saying that the chance of you buying a house is finished?
It's not as finished. You need a lot of help. If your parents, like my dad was a realtor as well. So my dad paved the way for me and my brother to have a better life. If your parents are, how should I say this? Not organized and not, ready to help themselves or you, it's going to be a lot tougher for you. You'll have to have two jobs like myself. I had a good start and I still have two jobs that I do all the time. And you're going to have to help get help from your parents, and that's the way it goes. It's a lot harder. We're gonna have to do like the settlers before they came. My grandparents and your parents and grandparents, when they came, they lived with other family. They lived in a triplex or duplex, right? So
Right.
that's how they started. That's what happens.
So it's going to be the way it is, like the way it's been in Europe for years. I mean, obviously being that much older, and I'll be honest, most of the ethnic communities are what we considered in the day back in the 70s, 80s, 90s to be ethnic. So if you're talking about all the Italians and the Portuguese, certainly there's more Latinos now than there used to be. That it wasn't necessarily that way back in the 70s and 80s in Ontario and in Canada. But there was always an understanding that you help the generation coming up in the way, being a Munja cake and being, the average white, Stouffville, Markham, Aurora guy is like, your parents give you the opportunity to go to school. Now you're on your own. You go out, you go get that house. That just, I think to a degree where helping with universities seemed to be, and I'll be honest, for most families, sort of middle-class white families, they helped you go to school if you did get the help to go to school, but that was kind of where the line was drawn. You didn't necessarily go out and start figuring out ways for people to live in a house, because it was assumed that after you got your job, which is why your parents were helping you, you would be on your own and you would get your own house. And right now, as you're saying, if you want your children to have a house, you better start planning on doing something before they even probably go to university.
That's right. Right now, there's actually good opportunity in Canada outside of Ontario. Believe it or not, in Calgary, you can definitely get some new build duplexes for, 500,000, 600,000, 700,000. You can even get condos starting at high 100s in Calgary. So there's opportunity outside of where we are, and Canada itself is it's becoming not just Ontario and BC. You can find a lot of other jobs in between and coast to coast now, and they're trying to draw the people there. So real estate's one of the things that they try to do, where they lower that price, bring people here. We have some jobs, and that's how their communities grow. I think it's a good thing overall. For myself, unfortunately, I can't sell in those provinces yet, but that's what people have to do now. You have to branch out.
And that is true. I mean, I think you're going to have to go where the jobs are, and it may not be in the GTA. You may have priced yourself out. Now, I know you travel a lot. You just mentioned where you go, and I assume it's because they're getting smaller, but to find value in Ontario also is tricky. I mean, you can go all the way up to Keswick, and you're still not getting huge deals. But of areas that you sell in, so you had mentioned Peterborough. Is that because they're commuting farther now from some of these towns to Toronto, or are they actually finding work? Because see, it's tough to just find work in some of these places. Generally, you're still coming back to Toronto, and in that circumference, I know there's people out in as far as Belleville who would drive to Oshawa, for instance, when GM was running. They would go to Oshawa every day. They would commute. Where are the areas now that they're commuting from?
Oh, they're commuting up further away, but the reason that they're buying further away is the rental potential. There's still a lack of rental properties outside the GTA. There's still a lot of people out there that can't afford to buy, and they want to live in Peterborough, or anywhere that there's a college or university helps too, because you can get that student income to help you purchase your home and maintain your home. The GO lines are very important too. When they extended the GO line, and it had the station in Whitby, Oshawa, and now they have that new one in Stouffville up there. It's a new GO station that's there. They're really helping build those communities and expand those communities where people necessarily don't have to drive. They can commute that way. And most of these people that either they're cashing out of Mississauga, Toronto, Halton, and they're moving to those areas because they can cash out and not have a mortgage and go there and just commutes. Or, like I said, they're getting rental potential. Even up in Sarnia, London, and Windsor are all areas that have seen huge growth. And it's not because more people are just going there. It's more people are buying there to having that rental income to help substantiate how they're living, right? So
yeah,
that's what they're doing.
That's a good point. I never thought of the GO line, because when you talk about the GO trains and commuting, they are, I mean, I think Kitchener, and again, you talk about Kitchener, Waterloo, hello, there are the schools again. It's just what you talked about. And I imagine, do you show in those areas? And Guelph was another one where there seemed like several years ago there was a lot of value, but is that still the case if we're talking Guelph?
No,
No.
I actually sold last month in actually in Kitchener in the Hepsler area.
Hesper, yeah, Hesper. Yes.
It's a very hot area, and yeah, the influx of businesses and the government putting more of these train stations and stuff to make us make it our Ontario a little bit smaller instead of just hopping on the highway. It helps a lot. Those areas are really expensive. Guelph is really expensive now. Even Kitchener, Waterloo, I sold a semi. It's a small semi for over 800,000, and it was unheard of a couple years ago. Unheard of.
That is just incredible. And of course, as the numbers climb up, depending on the age group, I remember being in Stouffville. So this would have been in high school. So it's in the 80s, early 80s, and a friend of mine, his father worked at it was called CIP. It was a paper, big paper box company. And they'd moved from Stouffville to Unionville at the time. Now, Unionville at one point was like Stouffville, kind of small. And then in the late 70s, early 80s, it became kind of a hipster and kind of an upgraded place. And all of a sudden houses were booming and the downtown was very trendy. But just previous to it, my buddy Murray goes, yeah, my dad just bought a house. It's $110,000 or something. I go, $100,000. It is not. You're not rich. You can't afford He goes, no, it's $110,000. You're going to live in a house that's $110,000. It's funny that line of 100,000 was the line, and now the line isn't even $1 million. The line isn't $1 million. Like if you say $1 million, depending on where you are, maybe that doesn't even get you into the, like in Toronto, in the GTA. Okay, let's talk about Mississauga then. In Mississauga, the base you would need, and this is just for a fully detached home, what is the average price if they're looking, and look, it could be something built in the 50s, mid-century, whatever they want to call it. What is the price in Mississauga for that?
Okay, for a fully detached home, you're probably looking at 1.5 to 1.7. And it varies. Some lower areas, obviously Malton is a little bit of a rougher area, and homes are a little bit older, and you can probably get a better deal. Brampton before used to be the cheaper area. If you can't afford Mississauga, you go to Brampton. Now you can't. Even I live in a townhouse here, and the reason I live in a townhouse, I have a small family. I need to be close to my first job, and I need to access highways. And my little townhouse, that's over 1,400 square feet. I pay some maintenance, and I can probably get 1.2 for it, believe it or not.
Wow, that is
just where I live, right? The area I live in. It's before you can see a big difference between a townhouse and a detached. Now there's no difference. You can pay the same price for a townhouse that you pay for a detached. The new Oakville of Hamilton is Ancaster. You can't even afford anything in Ancaster.
Yeah, that is incredible. Which is why you're saying, people will move now. They'll move to Calgary has seen, and because I've got a couple of houses actually still in Calgary, and so it got tough, and with the oil and gas and everything else got tougher. So the prices all of a sudden became reasonable, because when homes here were $200,000 and $300,000, $400,000, at that time, probably in the early 2000s or whenever that would be, they were already $400,000 or $500,000 and $600,000 in Calgary. Calgary had already had that big boom, and then they stopped, and then obviously Ontario has gone nuts. So for you to talk about value in Calgary, it is you can actually, and look, selfishly, if people listening now or young people are like, well, where else would you want to live? We've lived our whole lives in the GTA. We're used to Toronto. We're used to Mississauga. We're used to, whatever you think that Calgary is a fabulous place to go. The people, the Albertans, to me, are just amazing people. And, you've still got two cities there that have NHL hockey. You've got football. You've got, a lot of other stuff that if that's what you want, it's certainly available. And they are young. The demographic is a little bit younger. So I completely understand that. And look, great stuff here this morning, Nelson. I said, you can always talk real estate because it's always of top of mind. And And the fact that you've helped us out here with this tournament, can't thank you enough. But you're our de facto program director. I used to say to Dave, something going on. I don't know. Nelson will send us a message in about 30 seconds if something goes wrong, because he knows before basically anybody else. So I can't thank you enough, Hermano. An amazing job. We'll cross our fingers and we'll see what lucky person wins that money, because I know it's not going to probably be me, and that makes me bitter. I'm like Max that way. I don't like to lose, and I don't think I'm going to win.
It's not me as well. And I answered to me. I'm like, damn it, I could have kept it.
Did you see? I think Max has his title, I think, is I Want Nello's Money.
Yeah.
That's what
Always.
it is. That's what friends are for. That's nice. Hey, Nelson, you take care. Thanks so much. I appreciate everything you do. And thanks for joining us here this morning. Really interesting stuff.
A pleasure. And Mike, I'm always in your corner. Thank you.